many climbers at high altitude, they die just pure exhaustion. They are just exhausted. They just cannot move anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you give them glucose or fluids, electrolytes. They're just too exhausted.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Airdrie Inside. I am your host, Chris Glass, and I am here with an absolutely fascinating guest, Horacio Galanti. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris.
And how did I do with the name? Because I've heard 20 different...
Horacio.
See,
yeah.
Sometimes I feel gaslit by everybody else, but I'm right.
That's the way it is, Horacio.
Okay, perfect. And Horacio, you are the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Airdrie. That's how we know each other.
Yes.
But it's not why I have you on the podcast today. We could talk 10 episodes about running a $500 million city with an iron fist, but I want to talk a little bit about what you do in your personal life.
Perfect, yes.
So as somebody who, and if you're hearing this for the first time, it's going to sound very impressive, summited Everest from both peaks,
Yes.
has finished the death race. Am I getting that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So tell me a little bit about yourself before we get to those big topics. What brought you here? Because you're from Argentina.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'm originally from Argentina. Grew up near Mendoza, which we have big mountains there.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you said, in parallel with my professional career, I'm a civil engineer. And then, of course, became city manager, director of infrastructure many years ago. I ran this hobby in parallel, which I tried to do it professionally as I can,
right,
of climbing mountains. And I started back in Argentina when I was about 10 years old, just dragging my father up the mountains. And he didn't like that too much, so he brought me down a few times.
Yeah.
But then in my teenager years, becoming more independent, joined like a university club and started climbing more and more. Initially rock climbing, and then moving to more ice climbing, high altitude. And being in Argentina, we have big mountains in the limit with Chile.
Yeah. In
the Andes. So we have one of the 7 summits in Mendoza province, in addition to the good wine there.
Yes.
In Malbec. It's called Monte Aconcagua.
Yeah.
At 7,000 meters of altitude. Perfect training ground for me. So I summited that peak 12 times so far.
So one of the 7 peaks you summited 12 times.
Yes.
Okay.
I use Aconcagua mostly as my training ground in many of my expeditions. But yes, I summited the 7 summits, being on the North Pole and South Pole by foot. I ran a marathon actually at the North Pole. That was very cold. And and they decided to...
Did you just casually drop that you ran a marathon at the South Pole?
At the North Pole.
North Pole,
yes.
Sorry.
No, that was all prepared. Flying in a Russian cargo airplane and landing in a piece of ice there in the middle of nowhere from a small island called Svalbard in the Arctic. So quite an adventure. And after completing the 7 summits and the 2 poles, with my Sherpa friend, Ang Mingma, we decided to climb the north face of Mount Everest together.
Okay, so let's unpack that for a second. Sure. What goes into that decision, right? Because you're successful in your professional career, and then you decide to take on this massive challenge. What goes into that?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of training, it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of planning.
Right.
Which, that's the way I am in general in life. I like to long-term plan pretty much everything, because to attack these big mountains, you need years of planning.
So how early did you start planning? So when did you summit? What year?
Well, then the south face of Everest was 2013 and the north face 2019, just before the pandemic. I was able to just go there before the pandemic, because then China shut down the mountain for almost 3 years.
So in 2013, you summit the south side.
Yes.
How far back did you start planning and training?
2 to 3 years.
Okay.
I was in my project of the 7 summits.
Okay.
So Monte Aconcagua was the first one. I summited Aconcagua when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. And back in the day, there was no cell phones, no satellite phones, no technical gear like we have today. So it was very different style, less support, less safety margins, I would say.
Of course.
Then I did Kilimanjaro in Africa. Then I did Mount Elbrus in Russia. the limit with Georgia.
Yeah.
And then at that time, it's like, well, okay, let's go to Mount McKinley in Alaska. So that's a big test.
Yes.
Because McKinley, there's no supports at all. You land in an airplane in a glacier about 55 kilometers from base camp. No supports, no Sherpas, no porters, no dogs to pull nothing. You pull a sled, 55 kilometers on ice.
Wow.
Completely roped with your, friend. I climbed with a friend of mine from Mendoza.
So it was just two of you.
Yeah.
Climbing Mount McKinley.
Yes. And it took us a month. It was 55 below zero on the summit. There was a topographic benchmark on the summit, and we descended. So after that expedition, we thought, okay, I think we are kind of ready to tackle Mount Everest. So we went together with my friend, and by the way, his name is Horacio.
So the two Horacios take Everest.
Yes, the two Horacios. Even our Facebook page called Los Horacios al Everest. It's like the two Horacios going to Everest.
That's
right?
Fantastic.
So yeah,
you're either climbing a mountain or you're a wrestling tag team, one of the two.
So we after McKinley, then it's like, okay, this is serious. And just by coincidence, we built a website and looking for some sponsorships and because the high cost of the expedition, although we did it super minimalistic.
Right.
A bank contacted us, the Standard Chartered Bank from London, Hong Kong, and Singapore.
Yeah.
And they floated the idea they were testing an app called Breeze.
Okay.
And in 2012, 2013, mobile banking was, kind of starting to take shape. Now you have apps for everything, but, 12, 13 years ago, mobile banking was, in its origins.
In its infancy.
So we said, okay, what's the deal with this app? So, well, the deal here is for you guys to do the highest banking transaction on Earth. From the summit of Everest. So we moved like $20 from one account to the other, connecting our cell phones with the app, with the Breeze app, via satellite. Okay, so we generated the Wi-Fi with our satellite phones, pair our iPhones, open the app, type username, passwords with bare hands on the summit of Everest.
Yeah, I was going to say quickly. That might be.
And we completed the transaction. And that was the highest transaction on Earth. It's all over the internet. The bank launched a marketing campaign around the world. And it was a success. So that was good because we got good sponsorship for that expedition. And we gained a lot of experience, on Everest. Everest, I always say, is a mountain of work. We did 3 rotations to acclimatize.
Yeah.
Avoid high altitude, pulmonary edema, brain edema. So you take it slowly. You climb high, you sleep low. We crossed the Khumbu ice fall 6 times. All those ladders, very dangerous.
Yeah.
It took about 2 to 3 years of specific training and preparation just for the south face. With that experience, and I met a Sherpa at that time, Ang Mingma, and we became good friends. And my friend Horacio climbed with another Sherpa.
Yeah.
And then we stay in contact, and he started asking me, he said, hey, what if we climb together to the North Face? Which initially I said, no, it's too dangerous. It's too exposed. It's cold. It's windy. It's a north exposure.
Yes, of course.
But anyway, somehow we organized this in 2017, seriously started planning. And in 2019, I went to China, to Tibet, which is a very unique part of the world.
Yeah.
And we tackled the North Face summit in there at the end of May after 2 months of climbing.
Now, what's the difference? Like, I know one's more exposed, one's more dangerous, but what's the difference in training? What are you doing differently to prepare?
The South Face, the objective hazards are on the lower part of the mountain. So from base camp to Camp 1, you cross the icefall. It takes about 7-8 hours to cross it. So we enter into the night, midnight to 7-8 a.m. because it's colder, it's more stable.
Yeah.
The icefall moves about 1 meter per day. And those ladders are being shifted pretty much every day. Is the most dangerous part of the mountain. And the summit day is relatively safe because it's mostly ice climbing
Yeah.
on compact snow and ice. The exposure is less than the North Face. The North Face, on the other hand, and it's more sheltered. I would say it's warmer in relative terms.
Yeah, I was
right?
going to say
Relative
that.
terms. The North Face, the lower part of the mountain is safer, less objective hazards, but then the summit day is extremely exposed. So you are always in a rock wall. The rocks were covered with 2 inches of crystal ice.
Wow.
And as soon as you touch the ice with your crampons, with the front point of the crampons, the ice just shatters. And you are left
with every step
scrambling on rock, which, gives you a lot of adrenaline, to put it that way. And it's very exposed. You have 3,000 meter drop on each side pretty much constantly. You're in a very sharp ridge. When you exit the wall, the North Face, via a series of cracks, it's called the exit cracks. And then you go into the ridge. You have 3 steps, they're called. Step 1, 2, and 3. The second step has a ladder installed by the Chinese back in 1975. Not so difficult to climb up, very difficult to descend.
Wow.
So you have to mount a rappel and try to touch with your feet the top of that little ladder and somehow continue rappelling. So it's a lot of safety precautions you need to take. And at 8,600 meters with an oxygen mask and full suit, all these decisions are, complicated. You need to be mentally there, present.
Right.
And I think one of the key of my success in the big mountains is I spent a lot of time at high altitude when I was quasi a teenager.
Yeah.
And in my early 20s in Aconcagua in Argentina. Many months, I would say, when you put together all the expeditions, living about 6,000 meters.
Yeah.
So there is long-term memory in the cells in the body. And now when I touch, again, 5,000 meters or so, I acclimatize very, very well. So it gives me more energy and speed. And speed means safety in the big mountains. The less time you're exposed on the death zone or rockfall or avalanche risk, better.
Sorry, did you just say death zone? Let's talk about that for a second.
Yes.
What's it like to be doing something by choice that takes you into a death zone?
Yeah, well, that's part of the adventure. And when you approach the 8,000 meter mark, the human body is not able to sustain life there just for a short period of time. So our last camp on the south face is at 8,000 meters on Everest. On the north side is 8,200 meters. It's very high.
Yeah.
So you climb to that point, you rest for a few hours, and just to have a little bit of a breather there, a nap, hydrate, rest for a few hours. It's very important to be able to recover fast.
Yeah.
And I will link that with my ultra marathon running.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I use that as a base training. So you're exhausted, but you need to keep going. And maybe you take a half an hour nap and your body is able to recover quickly in a very short period of time. And at that altitude, for example, the north face, I started at 10 p.m., the summit push from 8,200 meters in the high camp. Summit at about 7 a.m. So we climbed during the night. And at 7 p.m., I was down at 7,000 meters at Camp 1.
Wow.
So it was like a 18, 19, 20 hour
marathon, if you will.
Non-stop in a low oxygen environment, eating, I remember I ate 3 little gels.
Wow.
That's it. So you need to train your body to be able to function in high output efforts, in low oxygen environments, and there are a lot of pressure and stress. So the mental coolness, you need to stay calm all the time because it's very easy to panic.
Yeah.
Exposure, some rock falls flying over your head, some avalanches around, and keep focused, keep calm, and just keep moving. Watch your hydration. Hydration is more important than food. And
so how do you go about drinking at that point? Because you're so wound up. Do you have
inside my down suit there are 2 pockets, and I have 2 platypus little flasks with hot water. I start with hot water, And because it's very close to the body, half liter.
Yeah.
And I always carry a thermos with a liter of tea in my backpack.
Wow.
So when you are you're climbing and you're in a difficult sometimes position, you cannot take your backpack to have some tea. Then you just open the zipper and just press the flasks.
Yeah.
And you keep the hydration going.
Quick sip.
Yes. Has to be all a well-oiled machine to be able to keep your hydration, and the gel's very easy to eat as well.
So everything up at that height is a conscious decision with consequences.
Yes, and I typically put some compartments in my mind, right? I think all climbers, we need to do that, because even in the, I would say above 7,500 meters, you see many bodies. Yeah,
we were talking about that at dinner the other day, and I found that fascinating. Talk to me about some of the things you've seen up there.
Yeah, so in the north face of Everest, I counted nine people unfortunately lost their lives during the summit attack. They are, when you go through them, of course, there's a moment of respect and peace and a little prayer there, but you need to keep going. Right? For me, this is like seeing another rock on the topography. Otherwise, if you go into too many emotions there, then you turn back and you go home.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, yes, that you may see this. I don't know the reasons why they passed away. Sometimes they fell from the mountain. Sometimes it's just exhaustion. Exposure. They sit to sleep and, they never wake up. Different reasons, right? But it's a fact on the big mountains. And I think we need to just take that. I know it's an inherent risk when I go to those places. I don't focus too much on that. I focus on just the things I can control.
Yeah.
Can I control my hydration? Yes. My food, my training, my gear. I'm properly prepared. Do I have a reliable weather forecast? Those factors I can control. What happened to these folks? So I make a conscious effort not to think about that.
Not to get attached.
Yeah, but you need to be prepared to see some images there. Yeah.
Did you ever at any point in your 2 summits of Everest feel like you might not make it back?
Well, when I was climbing the south face on the 3rd pass on the icefall, it was our summit rotation. So we were in the mountain for almost 2 months. It was later in the season, so summer is approaching. It was end of May. And the crevasses on the icefall were huge. The bridges were really long, multiple ladders connected, sometimes 4 or 5 ladders, very flexible. You go with some ropes there, but you look down and you don't see the bottom because it's white, light blue, dark blue, black.
Oh.
And, again, step by step, sometimes in four legs, trying to cross there.
Yeah.
And the last pass, yes, I was thinking what I'm doing here. I should go home probably. It's, again, it's a try to manage the objective risk assessment versus the subjective.
Of course.
The subjective, try to keep it out of your mind and really is this objectively still safe for Everest standards?
Yeah.
Right? And decision go, no go. And I decided to continue, but I had some second thoughts there in the last pass, yes.
But not for long.
Not for long, because you need to refocus quickly.
Yes, of course.
Right? Constant focus, constant concentration in just the next step. And the overall assessment comes in the big mountains from weather forecast and avalanche risk and rock fall. Those are the 3 key, if the weather looks good, the jet stream is higher than the summit, which the monsoon pushes the jet stream higher. So there are a few days per year in the summit of Everest where the jet stream blows higher.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the majority of the days of the years, you have 320 kilometers per hour wind on the summit of Everest.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So those are no-go days then.
Those are no-go days. And at the end of May, the monsoon approaches India and Nepal, pushes the jet stream up, and you have relatively calm. I'm talking 40, 50 kilometers an hour wind. And 40, 45 below thermometer. So you're in the 50s below zero. And you can enjoy those few days. I'm talking few, like 5, 6 days per year.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. That is just such a monumentous accomplishment, and so much discipline it takes to get there.
Yes.
Now you take that same discipline to running and racing. So talk to me about the death race.
Yeah, so the ultra training has been part of my, again, core preparation for many years. And I try to run in the mountains because my philosophy is that if your legs keep moving, you come home.
Yeah.
Okay. Many climbers at high altitude, they die just pure exhaustion. They are just exhausted. They just cannot move anymore.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you give them glucose or fluids, electrolytes, they're just too exhausted. And calibrating that point where you're too exhausted that you cannot go anymore, or you can still go for another 5 hours or so, is very tricky. And it takes years to know your own body.
Right.
So a good way to test that is ultra mountain running. when you run like the Canadian Death Race, it's 125 kilometers in the Rockies. I finished that race 5 times. When you go for 24 hours, for 30 hours, I ran a 100-miler in Mexico last year, again, 34 hours running. I'm running UTMB this year. It's 46 hours running
46
around
hours.
Mont Blanc, from France, Italy, and Switzerland.
And is there any sleeping in that? Like, do
you can sleep if you want, but the clock keeps ticking.
Of course.
So
But
many
is that-
runners do a 15-20 minute nap on 46 hours.
Okay.
Yes. So pretty much it's a constant running or jogging or hiking.
Wow.
So again, you test your exhaustion point, of course, in different environment because there's more oxygen.
Yes.
Yeah. So then on top of that, you need to add the low oxygen environment and the cold. It's
Yeah.
different running in shorts and runners compared with being in a down suit and trip
Yes, of
boots
course.
and crampons. But at least it's the best approximation to test how far your body can go and to test that. Can I go for 20 hours non-stop? Can I go with 24 hours, just some gels, maybe a little pretzels and sandwiches and some fluids and not more. And then if you're, okay, I can do this, and at the end I can still cross the finish line and smile, then that's a good sign for the big mountains.
Yeah.
So I use this ultra running as a base training, aerobic training for high altitude environments.
Wow. So 5 Canadian death races.
Yes.
And is there going to be a 6th or?
Well, I'm focused now in finishing the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, the UTMB. That's the Mount Everest of ultra running.
Ultra running, yeah.
In Chamonix, France. So I'm going there in August this year. I ran a reduced version 2 years ago. It's called CCC from Courmayeur, Italy, Champex-Lac, Switzerland to Chamonix. That's a CCC.
Yeah.
105K, 6,100 meters elevation gain and loss in about 24 hours.
Wow.
And this race, the full UTMB, is a circumnavigation around Mont Blanc. So you start in Chamonix, France, you cross to Italy, then you cross to Switzerland, and then you go back to France, all in the mountains. The total elevation cumulative is 10,000 meters up and down.
Wow.
And it's 177 kilometers in distance in 46 hours. So I'm really focusing my training now. I'm heading to Utah now on Saturday to run an 85K in the desert in deep sand in preparation for my August race.
So what does your day-to-day training look like? Like how much do you run in between
Yes.
everything that you're doing?
Yes. Well, again, I have a plan, which is about a year ahead for these big races. My typical week, typically I'm home around 5 or so. So I have a coffee and some croissants and something light to eat.
Yeah.
I cannot have supper early.
Yeah, we've talked about your 9 o'clock dinners.
Yeah, so I push that a little bit later. And then I do my training. In the winter, it's mostly at home in treadmill. I have an incliner. It goes to 40%. It's a Nordic track incliner. So I can really put mountain training in a slope from -6 to +40%. I train with a backpack sometimes, and I go to 40% when I train for mountaineering.
And how long do you normally go on the treadmill?
2
for?
hours, I would
2
say.
hours?
2 hours is my typical training block, maybe from 6 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
And then on the week, that's during the week. I try to do 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends is my real mountain training. So my weekends are typically spent in the Black Creek, Canmore, Banff, Lake Louise area. I have different circuits there, different mountains. And I do repeats to train more in vertical elevation and real mountain, real terrain.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite mountain in the Rockies that you like?
Well, I do a lot of Haling Peaks and a lot of Prairie or Powder Face. The Powder Face of Black Creek is my go-to. It's safe. There's a lot of people there for bears and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
And decent elevation, about 800 meters every lap, and sometimes I do 3, 4, 5 laps on the weekends.
We were at an event this past week, and you had taken some of my colleagues up Highland Peak, and it was noted that one time you did that in 5 times, 6 times a day.
Yeah, 5 times.
5 times. So you went up Highland Peak 5 times in one day.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, in about 8 hours.
You and I are not the same, my friend. We have some overlaps, but not in mountain climbing. So a question for you is, how does this world in your personal life prepare you for your professional life? Because the pressures of trying to climb Mount Everest and the planning that it takes, there are some parallels to your role. So let's talk about those.
Yes, for sure. And I use those analogies a lot. I think it helps me plan my day-to-day, the professional life. I started more as a technical civil engineer, and then I evolved more into managerial roles. Yeah, overseeing teams or so, and being director of infrastructure and city manager, which you have large organizations with multiple business units. And at the end of the day, is trying to simplify. Yeah. The organization like City of Airdrie or Climbing Everest is a complex matter to manage. And if you visit my office, the city, there is a little LED sign that says, keep it simple. Yeah. Okay. And I'm a fan of that. Simplifying, streamlining. I'm a fan of lean protocols.
We've talked about it on the podcast a lot. Yes. I'm a big fan of lean as well.
Yes. Toyota Total Quality Control and the management system. So try to really streamline everything I do. From personal life to professional life, trying to really squeeze the juice, of every minute, and say, okay, what is the goal? How we plan for this? What resources do I need? And what training I need? And then the day has 24 hours, so you need to sleep for about 8, and then you need to work for about 8, and then how you use this block, what I call me time, from 5 to 9. Because really that is what is left in the day, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So in 4 hours, I need to squeeze everything I do in life. And then you have the weekends, which I try to protect. Right. But what I can do this because it's somehow I've been doing this for so many years, right? Remember my first summit, CAO, was at 19. So
you're saying.
I think physically, at the mitochondrial level, at the cellular level, there is adaptation there. So the VO2 max, the metabolism, how the body uses energy, when you are a person or an athlete adapted of doing some sport for many years, is easier. Yeah. Okay? Even if I have an injury or so, I rebound very quickly. Yeah. And the base level is higher than, some person that is not, training like that. So I try to keep a base level, even in wintertime, which is hard to go outside and train. Yeah. And then in the summer months, let's say from May to October, I really try to pick that and prepare. And my plan, of course, I have seen many folks that are in their late 70s. Yeah. Okay? And it's amazing. They're still like going strong, running, and they're not breaking any records. But
they're there.
Endurance
they're
side.
Doing it.
Yes,
yeah.
They're slower, and I think in our generation now, we will see a lot of folks of our age crossing, no problem, the 80-year-old age. Yeah. In very good shape.
Yeah, I have no doubt I'm going to see you running 100 kilometers when you're 80.
Hopefully, yeah.
So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to touch on what could be next for you, because you mentioned there's another mountain that might be in your crosshairs here.
Yeah, so I'm analyzing a couple of things. So I'm very focused on UTMB until August. Hopefully I can complete that. That will with a little of research. I think there are 2 folks around the world that have climbed Mount Everest on both sides and finished the UTMB, which is kind of the Mount Everest of ultra mountain running.
Yeah.
So that would be cool to just kind of a fun fact.
Yeah.
And then I would like to tone it down a little bit on the ultra running and go back to the mountains. So I have 2 in my mind in sequence. Ahmad Blam in Nepal, close to Mount Everest. It's a very technical peak, 7,000 meters, but very technical. It's a mix of rock and ice climbing in Nepal. And that could be a good target, intermediate target, and potentially in 2 years, K2.
Wow.
I'm looking at that. I'm studying the mountain a lot. I'm following the meteorology, the weather reports, the snowpack in Pakistan, what's going on, because the mountain is getting warmer.
Yeah.
And there's more rockfall. So K2 is tricky if it's too dry, there's too much rockfall. And if you get too much snow, the avalanche risk is tremendous.
Wow.
So it has to be the mountain has to be plastered with the right amount of snow to keep,
but not too much,
rocks in place, but not too much to trigger avalanches. So it's a very tricky mountain. Many climbers go there and you need to really see the conditions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my horizon for now.
Now, I forgot to ask you this back earlier on, but we'll leave it off with this. The relationship with your Sherpas.
Yes.
You were telling me how much trust that takes.
Yes.
Can you talk to me about that relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a lifelong friendship you build, right? Because your life depends on the Sherpas and vice versa. You're roped together in very sometimes dicey situations there, climbing on the ice fall or so. And you do provide safety on the ropes. One person advances and anchors, and then the other person provides safety. And then you spend a lot of months. Okay, so I spent like 4 or 5 months in total in the mountain in both sides, and you really talk about everything.
Everything, yeah.
Right? In those long nights and days and the snowing, it's the bad weather, and so you really build that relationship. And then when you click, right? When you click with the Sherpa, that's amazing because they know the mountain very well. They are super strong, and I felt at least I'm safe climbing with this person.
Yeah,
and you build that relationship, and I think it's for life because we communicate almost, I would say, every couple of weeks via WhatsApp with Ang Ming Ma, and he lives in a small village near Everest Base Camp. He was born at 4,000 meters.
Oh, wow.
And he has a family there, and we're in touch.
How many times has he been up the mountain?
Oh, I think he climbed the south face 3 times and the north face 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Well, where can we go to follow your journeys? Do you have any social media that people could look at?
Yes, I have my, there is a Facebook page that is called Everest Tibet.
Okay.
Everest Tibet, but there is Everest stuff there and ultra running. And then my website is called 7summits2poles.com.
7 Summits 2 Poles?
Yes.
Okay, we'll link it in the show notes so people can follow it along.
To remember, 7 and 2 with numbers, 7summits2poles.com. There are some photos and things from different expeditions. So if I go to Ahmad Blam or other peaks, I'm updating the website. So yes, and then I use Facebook and other channels as well to just launch some, updates when I'm in the mountains. I'm very careful sometimes with the updates because I prefer to go there and see the situation before putting too much information.
You don't want to get ahead of it.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And then if everything goes well, then you do more like a recap, photos and videos and things like that. But sometimes you go to the mountains, the conditions are not right, so not to create too much expectation even for myself.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. This has been fascinating.
Awesome.
I've never had somebody on the show that's climbed Everest once, let alone twice.
Awesome.
And I look forward to working with you for the next 4 years, getting to know each other.
Me too. Awesome. Okay,
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And thank you for joining us on Airdrie Inside. We're going to be back with more great episodes coming up shortly.